This is a quick demonstrational video on what you can do with the Blackboard Document Content Designer. This new feature that came available on August 8th will help make course content more efficient, more engaging, and easier to get through for students. So I want to demonstrate by first showing you kind of what the document looked like laid out before we had the designer. So in this case, you'll note that we can have the things that we want in here, right? We can have the text, we can have stylish things, we can have pictures and embedded videos, right? But we were limited to one giant column, and like there, you couldn't really have any left or right alignment of anything. Well, with the brand new content designer in Blackboard Ultra documents, you are able to make changes to make these documents more efficient, more engaging, and in my opinion, more effective. So you start by editing your document in your course. And that's one of the changes that's come in the new feature, is that in order to make changes to the document, you edit the entire document. What's neat about that is I can actually jump from thing to thing on this particular document, block to block, make changes without having to save them and move on to the next part of this document. Before I'm ready to leave the document, I simply just come back up and hit save. I can, just like previously, place my mouse on top of a document element to add another one. But I also, for convenience sake for instructors, they've also added a menu at the top left where I can hit plus, and those same options are there. Now, while you're working on one of these documents, they have added a redo and undo for content that you change. So if you mess up dragging something somewhere and it doesn't show up where you want, you can always just do undo and get it back to where it belongs. So what I'm going to do is show you some of the neat features of how this particular tool works. So here we are. I would like to have this image show up to the right of the learning outcomes. So you have a learning outcomes graphic that coincides with the learning outcomes for this particular document. So what I'm going to do is take this thing and see these 6 dots here? I'm going to hold down on it and drag it up and to the right, and you'll see a purple line show up to the right of that particular piece of content. So now I've got an image to the right of this content. Now, that image seems a little small and I want it a little bigger. That's okay. I can just make this entire learning outcomes box smaller. How do I do that? Well, each of these content blocks can be put in up to 4 columns on a document. In this case, I want to kind of have an equal case. I want to have an equal distribution. I have 2 columns on one side, 2 columns on the other. And you'll see when I take my mouse and drag where these double arrows are, where the right column shows up for the first column, and then there's the second column, right? Boom, I've made it smaller. I can then take the one that I just added and make it 2 columns. Now, I've got the content in a much more user-friendly way. In the same respect, I've got this largely embedded video right here that I want to take and add 1 column on the right-hand side to kind of describe what's in there, right? So the same thing. I can put it on the left-hand side. So what I can do right now is I can actually click, instead of dragging, I can continue to drag this, but I could also click it and go move to row above, and boom, it's done. It's there, right? And right now I've got the text aligned left to that guy, but I could just take it and drag it over and put it on the right-hand side, which moves it right where I want it. So you are seeing, in effect, how we can make these documents more efficient, more effective, and more engaging. This is just part and parcel of the new content designer. One of the other features that's very nice about this content designer, and I'm going to save this particular bit of content, is the ability to add more than, I can split the content into 4 columns, right? So if maybe I have these 3 headings here, right? And I want to actually make a 4-column heading thing underneath. I can easily do that. I can go to plus and create content. And you will see I've got that box there. So what I can do is come in here, copy the first heading, come back down to the box, and boom, there it is. Now I can add another content heading for heading 2. And I'm just going to do the same heading for each time, right? And I'm going to come in and add another. And this is why it's convenient up here maybe to use that plus sign. So I can easily add another content box without having to worry about going down and finding the plus, right? So here's heading 3. And then lastly, I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do. I'm going to come down here and add one more and heading 4. But right now they all say heading 1, but that's okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to take each one of these, right? And I'm going to drag it up and to the right. Same thing with this one, up and to the right. And then lastly, up and to the right. So now you will see, whoops, and I'm going to get rid of these reminders on the screen. You will see that I have that neat 4 headings. And one of these columns could have been a graphic. It didn't need to be just text. But you can see how I can make these documents where the students are engaging and interacting with content a lot more effective in terms of how my text is put in and what it speaks to. And then the level of engagement for the learner might increase because they don't have to scroll for days. So that's the video for the new content designer for Ultra Documents. Thank you.